Hey guys, how's it going? It's Philip with Trade Genius. Still under the weather, but I thought I'd give you guys a quick update because quite a bit has happened since our last video. Let's cover Bitcoin. We'll take a look at Litecoin and Ethereum as well, and a couple alts. So we'll run through this real quick. So Bitcoin on the daily, let's take a look at the daily. So big sell-off, but in reality, it's well within parameters of Bitcoin, like we've talked about. I will admit that this pullback here of 47%, I was not looking for that pullback to be that large until we spun up higher. Because what we were seeing was smaller and smaller pullbacks as we were coming up into this range. So I thought we might get more of a blow off into the 20s before we saw a move like this, but didn't happen. So what a lot of times this has happened in the past with equities. If you're ramping into a holiday like Christmas, it'll fall back, called a holiday reversal. And rule of thumb is you would resume the trend after the holidays. So in this case, we could see a resumption this coming week, but then we have New Year's. I think really the probability at this point is that we really start seeing things get going after the first. But it is Bitcoin. This is the first holiday season where we've now have kind of like more institutional attention to it. So hard to base anything off of previous price action. We're kind of in new territory. But I do think this is that holiday reversal thing is probably in play here. So where are we at now? Well, I told you guys that we're really not going to get excited until we break this trend line. And currently, let's look at the 4-hour. 4-hour, you guys want to keep in mind we are looking oversold, so we could do a pullback and then up higher. What I'm looking for here is I want a clean break of this trend line. We kind of had a false breakout. It did pop higher when it did get through that trend line, as you can see a little bit more clearly on the hourly chart. We popped above it, right, came up and then back tested it, and then we kind of consolidated, but now we're breaking back down. If you really zoom in on the hourly, if you really want to get and some people do trade off of the small stuff here, you would look for a bounce here and see if you can make it back up to this. If it did bounce at this level, then that means the buyers are pretty strong here. But the larger, you would probably want to set a tight stop there if you were trying to swing trade that. Otherwise, this area here, in this 13,300 to approximately 12,700 area would be probably a good case for another bounce. But if the buyers are pretty strong, this area would hold, and then we'd clear this area. If we did that kind of like this ABC bounce that I just showed you guys to that trend line or that fib extension, that would wipe out this bear fib zone. Because currently, until we do that, this level here, 8,060 basically, is still in play, believe it or not. So, and it's Bitcoin, so it can definitely see those types of levels. Now, do I think that's going to happen? Probabilities are slim, I think, on that one. I think that based on price action here, we've seen kind of a V bottom. Now, one scenario definitely plausible is that this rolls over and we get a double bottom. So double bottom is when you retest the previous bottom and then you take back off for the real move. That could certainly play out. So that's one scenario. So this right now looks like a false breakout. So either this area holds, or this area holds, or we look for a double bottom. I know that's not super clear, but you have to. Those are the scenarios in play. And again, if we do get a move up to this point, then I think all that downside stuff gets canceled out. This stuff's done, and then the real test is going to be up here at 17,800, call it. Now, at that level, what I'm looking for at that point, and let's go to a 4-hour chart, would be something along the lines of a head and shoulders pattern. So, for example, this would be the left shoulder, this would be the head, and then a move up to this level would look like that. That would be the right shoulder. And at that point, then you're kind of looking at this neckline. That's a horrible neckline, but you get the idea. A test down to that level approximately, could happen. Or, what would cancel that out is just a move above. And then we're going to test this trend line, which is kind of been holding this line here. As you can see, once we broke through that trend line, a big sell-off, we came back up to it and then back down. So that's what I'm seeing right now on Bitcoin, okay? The other option that could play out is that we just consolidate kind of in between these fib zones for a bit through the holidays and then finally start making a move out. All right, so I can't be super clear other than I think that once we're past the holidays, I definitely think we resume this uptrend. And if you look at the price action fork, this is, everything that we've seen so far is perfectly within this trajectory range. And like we talked about, the bottom of this was like 8,500. So, this downside isn't totally out of the question. But again, I don't think it's that probable considering the price action that we've seen so far. On a daily, that's a huge wick on the daily. Generally, those things tend to hold. What would look bad is if this thing just started drifting on the daily. That could break down further. So that's what we're looking at on Bitcoin. All right, now let's take a look at Ethereum and Litecoin. As far as Ethereum goes, it did do a good job. We just printed a new daily bar. So it's pretty much taken out this bearish fib zone. So we can delete that. And this bull zone, kind of still going to keep this intact because I'm looking for like a definite move. And I'm just looking at these on a daily. You got to have some definite closes outside that. This move was like a flash crash kind of a thing, similar to what you saw on the Bitcoin bottom. So now we're probably looking at resuming and heading toward this 983 to 1,000 level with Ethereum. We are getting into a daily oversold condition, and when we see these stocks get down here, like we got here, you get another pulse up. So I think that's shaping up pretty good for a move up. As far as Litecoin, looking at the daily, Litecoin, one thing about Litecoin, we used to see where it would just pop and then drop. And I think that now you kind of have to look at, this is actually a Litecoin, Litecoin Bitcoin. Let's do Litecoin USD and we'll look at that here. So, in the past, this is the historical kind of trend line that Litecoin's kind of hugged for a while. And you see that similar flash crash. This is all very similar because guess what? They're all on Coinbase, and Coinbase has a hard time handling volatility. So right now, I don't see anything super bearish. I mean, if you kind of get rid of that wick, because I think that was over exaggerated, you're kind of looking at a ascending pennant triangle for the most part. If you look at the bodies, and typically what happens, these will break up. So you're looking at this 488 to 500 area for Litecoin on the next move up. And again, you are getting into a buy area on the stocks. And the last one we had on the daily was over here, which was here. And then we just started a grind higher. Okay, so that's Litecoin. All right, let's take a look at a couple alts that we covered in the last couple weeks. OMG. When we were talking about OMG, it was right before the next final kind of thrust down in this alt bear market, and was in this area here, and that broke, but it's since recovered like most of the alts have right now. So alt season seems to be back. Very positive move here, breaking through this fib zone. So now what we're looking at, and we also have a daily long signal on our money machine, crypto money machine indicator. If you guys want that, click on the link in the description and you can find the package for that. We have some year-end sales going on. Basically what I'm looking for is another consolidation and then higher. But I think getting into OMG in this area, you're going to be looking at retesting this bear fibbed area here. So, good chance for, a double, more than a double from this level. I think the alt market in general is going to be pretty bullish after the first. So another one that we covered was Verge. Verge is a payment coin, has some pretty cool features, has like Tor built in. So basically this is on the daily, and we just had a really, this is just basically a parabolic move, and you really want to wait for a pullback, kind of in this area here. and that would be a spot where I'd like to get long. But you know, right now everything's pegged. When you get into a situation where your Stokes and your RSI is pegged, that's embedded, meaning that the move's strong. Move will probably deteriorate when these cross back down over. Okay, so then that's on a daily. Now on these, but these can move fairly quickly, so you may get like a, what may happen is you get a stop out. Actually, let's look at this on an hourly. So right now, bears, there's a bit of a sell-off from the top. We had a, if you look at the magnitude of the pullback, you know, 30% pullback from the highs. So bears are in control at 1787, 1790. Now you got to keep in mind, guys, just 3 days ago, you were down here in the you know, look at these levels we were at, 400. And now you're at, you know, you topped out at 1983. So you're almost looking at like a 500% move, right? 5 times 400. So basically, I would be looking for, you know, usually what ends up happening. So you got an hourly buy signal. So one of two things will happen. One, we'll make a new high, but then we won't see that on the RSI making a new high, and then it drops. So that would be like a bearish divergence, and then the price goes up. So these two are going away from each other, and then we'd look for a more broad pullback. Right now, as we're coming into this zone here, I'd be looking at to see how strong the bears are. This line kind of was like the parabolic curve. Kind of when you get above that type of curve, then you're kind of looking at, that was drawn on a higher time frame. But you know, that's where you start getting into like just momentum resistance, because you're just starting to get ahead of yourself. Also too, if you look on the, another indication is the volume. If you look at the daily volume, you notice at the base of the move, the volume was a lot higher, right? Over here. And then the last couple of bars, now we can't really, you know, we're just getting into the volume on this bar because it just printed a new daily bar. But this one you can see a lot higher. But you notice the volume here on this bar doesn't match what got the move started over here. And typically, if you see a move going up and then the volume going down or declining, that's a sign. So all I'm saying is just keep an eye on this move. If you are in this thing, you know, you will probably want to trail a stop, either on the 4-hour or the hourly, which you would have probably stopped out here if that was the case. But all I'm saying is it may be getting close to petering out and we see a broader pullback, in which case I think ideally in this area here is going to be a nice spot. So that's what we're looking at for Verge. That's pretty much it, guys. Just want to get this out. Hopefully we'll be back in the swing of things starting next week. But what we'll do, I think, tomorrow night is just take a look at the futures when they reopen. Just kind of see how things react, and then we'll go from there for a weekly outlook. Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. If this helps, please hit the subscribe button, and appreciate all the subs and likes. Take care, guys. Bye.